You wanted to talk about Mission Impossible, right?
I did. I went and watched it last night.
Okay.
Mission Impossible. This is. I mentioned we talked some on the pre-show, which is on Patreon exclusively. But I think this might be my third favorite Mission Impossible movie. So when it comes to Mission Impossible, I think this is the third one. Is probably this new one is probably third on my list. I would say first Mission Impossible, third Mission Impossible, and then the seventh Mission Impossible. That's how I would rank it as top three. The cool thing about this movie, that there's one downside that I feel like some people probably wouldn't like too much, but in some ways I enjoyed it. It was a lot of member berries from the first movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we bring in familiar faces like, I think, was it Rutledge? Is that his name? Let me look up the cast real quick.
They're back. They're all
Mission 7.
No,
Hold on
yeah.
1 second.
Do you think I know this was probably done a little bit before the C-19 that came out a couple years ago, but it almost feels like when, like, I guess Tom Cruise had some downtime of not making anything during the pandemic, and then just took the time to perfect a couple movies like Top Gun, and just like figured out, knew what he was wanting, and just had some extra time, so he just used that to perfect, to
really focused in.
Yeah, focus in on what needs to be done for these movies and to make them really good movies.
Right. Okay. So
they probably have plenty of time to storyboard a lot of what Dead Reckoning 1 and 2 are kind of going to be, which and you know, also planning out missions and stunts and stuff. What do we have?
So we're talking about Agent Eugene something. I can't read that, but he's the director of the CIA from the first movie, and he's the same character as this one. So they bring him back. There's also, you know, so we got, you know, Rebecca, the Ilsa character. We got a new character, Grace. That we remember Elena from the last one. This new character, Paris. She is kind of creepy and also kind of badass.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of like Nicholas Hoult,
right.
Angela Bassett, Carrie Elwes is in this.
Yes, there's a lot of people in this. So yeah, he's in the beginning, a little section close to the beginning and at the end. So there's a lot of people in this film. I will say, with the member berries. So just this is small spoilers, right? So the camera angles, I mentioned this in the trailer, right? The camera angles are all very similar, like the Dutch angles.
Yeah,
the close-ups with these kind of shots, you know? And even the production value. So you remember at the beginning of the first movie, they're, you know, walking, they're trying to do the mission, and then they go outside, and there's like all this, you know, ethereal fog and stuff. It's like a very similar vibe. It's really cool. There's this awesome fight that Ethan Hunt has with two characters in this very narrow alleyway. And so it's like the alleyway is like this wide, right? And so they have a camera, and he's like doing flips over them, using the walls to his advantage, or getting hit into the wall. And it's really claustrophobic, but it was such an interesting scene. But there's so many things that feel similar. In the first movie, there's a death of somebody he loves, or a faked death on a bridge, right? Outside at night in this new town, this city. Very similar situation happens. You have and this is kind of a bigger, it's in the trailer some, so you see a moment, but you know, the first movie ends with like a big on the train fight and heist kind of situation. It's how this one ends. They're on a train, there's a train fight, there's a heist. So there's a lot of looking back at the first Mission Impossible.
Do we get a rappelling down? Bum, bum.
No, we didn't get a rappelling down, actually. I think they replaced that with the parachute scene with the driving off the cliff.
No, it's interesting that we would, at the end of the series, harken back to the beginning of the
Right,
series,
right.
and I don't mind that as much. I do like to kind of end things by looking back and seeing kind of where this film franchise came from,
Yeah,
and some of the things that perhaps made people enjoy it so much.
yeah.
So I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing
I
it.
think the kind of villain slash big problem, right?
Hmm.
The problem that's dangerous that they're trying to get control of or trying to stop. It's it's a good formidable enemy that actually makes sense for today's world, right?
Hmm.
So
Is
it's very cool. I
is
like it.
Vanessa Kirby good or bad? I could never pin that down in the
Let's
first
see.
one, or in the first one she's
Vanessa
in.
Kirby. I
Was she good? Was she bad? Did she help him?
She is
Was she a
middle of the
villain?
road.
I always, oh, is she? Yeah,
She's
is she
like
just kind
it's
of
like
like a?
she's not she doesn't have ill intent for you, but she's very selfish. So at
Okay,
times she
gotcha.
acts in her
Yeah,
own
yeah, yeah.
interest, which is what they don't want her to do, right?
Right.
So she's middle of the road that and she's like a
Yeah.
problem wild card character.
Okay,
Um
cool. I couldn't figure that out in the Henry Cavill one.
right. That's and they kind of alluded to that, but they really nailed her character down as who
Mhm.
she is in this one. Um but yeah, uh, my only big problem I had is Luther is awesome there with Benji through the whole film and doing his Luther thing at the computer and stuff, and
Mhm.
then the climax of the film when he needs help, like when he really should be there, the big last mission. It's like Luther disappears and he's not there, and it's just Benji that's doing that side of it.
Oh,
You
and
know,
they don't explain where he is?
I might maybe I zoned
Missed
out
something.
for a minute.
Mhm.
There's like a conversation that Luther and Tom have about um making like trying to tell Tom Cruise or trying to tell Ethan, look, you're gonna want to do this. And there's like two scenarios. You can do this, you cannot do this.
Mhm.
And this is like what the enemies predicted. So either way, the enemy wins. So the only way to do it is to not do either of those things and keep state of the mission because it's Ethan's emotionally invested. He wants to either do one of these two things. So he's like, you
Mhm.
have to make sure it doesn't end up this way because it's Luther being smart, and
Yeah.
giving advice to Ethan. And I can't remember if at the beginning I might have missed it. Maybe at the beginning of that conversation, he gets pulled away to something else because it's that
Mhm.
point where he just disappears for the rest of the movie.
Right.
But he was there the whole time before, so I don't know. I must have missed something. But like the end of it, like the climax of the movie, Luther's not there. So
Hmm.
bummer.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
but Benji's like doing in a self-driving car, like doing his computer stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and there's also, some new interesting technology. It follows a very similar format with bop, 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 bop.
Mhm.
Um, it's like they try to do a mission. It looks like the mission's going to work. Oh, it looks like the mission's getting struggling, and then realize it turns on its head. The mission was going to be a failure the whole time. You know what I mean?
What
And then
give us a rating. What would you put it at roughly?
at
In
a
a
1 out of 10,
10? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm putting it at like see, I put Top Gun at a 9. I'm gonna put this at an 8. For like
Okay.
Mission Impossible movies, thoroughly
Alright.
enjoyed. It doesn't feel like, Dead Reckoning or Ghost
Mhm.
Protocol. It's like the filmmaking style changed up and harkened back to the way the first one felt and looked,
Okay. That's
Yeah.
So it
cool.
has a new vibe, a refreshing vibe to this new film.
That makes me
So
interested.
yeah, yeah. And also they do have a car chase and it is long, but there's a fun twist to it.
Okay.
And it's not
Mm.
just the typical like Tom Cruise finds a car and then he does bad,
Mhm.
he escapes, but he's like really good at driving. This is clumsy and hilarious. This whole
Yeah.
car
See,
chase scene. And the
I
reason
think
why is because there's a character, Grace, who he kind of gets attached to and
mhm.
going back and forth with. She doesn't know how to drive cars or to do car chases,
Gotcha.
but
So you have to walk her through it.
there's
Why?
something
'Cause
that's a
she's,
spoiler that's funny that hinders him from being able to be the one who's driving. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But
okay.
he is with her, so it's like she has to drive, but she's clumsy, like, she doesn't know how to do it, and
Now,
it's a fun, interesting new take on a car chase
in
scene.
all, self-driving car chase, where like they program one car has like something in it that they need, like a piece of information or something like sitting in the seat, like a briefcase.
Mhm.
And so they program it to like, you need to get to this destination no matter what. And then the enemy programs a car, you need to crash that car no matter what. That would be an interesting chase scene of just two empty cars going at it.
Mhm.
I
Just
want to
no
see
people
that.
involved.
That would be awesome. Just driving noises, you know? And then
Right.
some interesting things where like the car AI technology has to like you could give the car AI's personality,
Right.
where the hero's car is obviously like trying to avoid hitting people, and
Mhm.
the villain's car has been programmed to it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? And so now the cars almost have their own personalities as they're doing this thing. I think it would be a really fun scene.
You know, it you lose the touch of the human interaction
No,
of
no, no.
that.
It's not the human. It's the. I mean, people get attached to um, anthropomorphizing things, and
Right.
if you anthropomorphize the cars as like they almost are, one of them's like avoiding people and trying to almost be safe, while the other one is crashing into stuff and hitting people, and it doesn't matter. You're giving the cars personalities.
Okay.
Uh, this is an entirely different idea that I'll have to run through with you later,
Yeah.
because I think this would actually make a car chase scene interesting to me.
I don't know. Watch this new, Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tell me
I
that you
will.
don't have a good laugh and, like, kind of a
Mhm.
good time watching this car chase scene. Because
Yeah.
it's not just more Fast and Furious crazy stuff. It's actually fresh. It's actually
Okay.
interesting. I
Cool.
enjoyed
It
it,
is
and
fresh.
it takes something that you think's just gonna be like, "Alright, here we go," and you're walked through it in a
Mhm.
new way, and you're like, "Oh, was that it? That's the whole car chase scene? It was a good time." You know what I mean?
Good.
So, so yeah, I know that's one thing you're worried about, you're always bored with.
Yeah.